The question that 99.9% of you all have: does yoga help lose weight? From the hilltops, most resoundingly, yes. So let's start at the most basic. Yoga is an excellent form of exercise.
Yoga is more than exercise.
Yoga is way more than just exercise, but from a very physical standpoint, it's a very wonderful and beneficial therapeutic form of exercise. When you perform these yoga asanas, you are stretching the connective tissue that exists between the bones. This stretching and tensing of these tissues help build a better body. Also, as you perform these asanas, you're compressing certain glands that regulate metabolism, your blood sugar, a host of other chemicals and reactions that occur. And lastly, yoga helps secrete oxytocin and serotonin into the system that actually lasts a lot longer and tapers off nicely rather than beating yourself up at the gym. That's not to say that gym isn't beneficial. There's a lot of people who love it. But for those of you who want a more chilled out approach, you can get a lot of benefits out of yoga also. All right, that's enough facts for today. Let's jump into a few asanas that help burn fat.
Come to standing with your feet together at the front of your mat. Bring your hands to your waist and open up your feet 2.5 to 3 foot distance with the outer edges of both feet facing the front, so they're parallel. To get started, we're going to turn our back foot in 30 to 45 degrees, our left foot or our front foot out to 90 degrees, extending the arms and leaning down into that front leg with the arm coming to just the thigh to get us started. If you feel a little more open, bring that front hand down to the ankle with the arm extended straight overhead. And if you feel extremely open, go ahead and reach for that big toe. Continuing to breathe. 5 to 9 breaths in this posture is more than sufficient. And now for the last variation, bringing both arms parallel with the ground. So looking down, inhale to come up, switch the feet now. Front foot turns in 30 to 45 degrees and the back foot turns out to 90. Bring the hand down to the knee first and look up at the outstretched hand, continuing to open up that shoulder, breathing in and out. Bring that other hand down towards the ankle, continuing to breathe, continuing to feel the stretch through the side, through the hip, through the inner thigh. Reaching down now for that third variation of grabbing the big toe. And bringing the arm to parallel, just as a variation. And then finally we come at that extreme, both hands parallel with the ground posture. Releasing the arm, inhale to come back up. Bringing the hands to the waist and just kind of finding a sense of peace here. Returning back to get the breath under control. We're going to move into a little bit of side angle here. Now extending the base a bit, turning that front foot out 90 and the back foot in 30 to 45 degrees. Bring the front arm to the thigh and then the back arm straight overhead. Parsvákonasana, side angle. Now for a little bit deeper of a stretch, you can bring that arm resting on the thigh to the ground and make sure you keep those fingers active on the top hand. Another arm variation, bring it 45 degrees over. And one more variation provided to you. You can also go for the bind. That's bringing the bottom arm underneath and then the top arm back to grab the wrists, to interlock the fingers, whichever works for you. To come up, release the bind, bring that front arm down to the ground, and I like to windmill my arms back up, powering off that front leg. Doing the other side now, turning the back foot out 90 degrees, front foot in 30 to 45 degrees. Taking the first variation here of that back arm resting on the knee. Second variation, bringing that back arm to the ground, still looking straight overhead. Third variation, bringing the arm to about 45 degrees. So the wrist, the shoulder, the hip, the knee, the ankle are all in one line. Last variation, taking that bind. Now the wrapper is always the grabber. So the arm that's coming underneath the thigh should grab the other hand that's reaching behind. Windmill the arms to come up. Hands to waist. Now come back standing to front. Getting our heart rate under control. Let's continue. Stepping out again, 2.5 to 3 foot distance. Keep the edges of the feet parallel with the weight on the balls of the feet. Inhale, pull the lower belly in. Exhale, keep pulling the lower belly and extend far over for Parsvákonasana. Bring the hands in line with the feet for 5 breaths. Now we're going to go for the third variation here in this flow. Interlock the fingers behind the back and extend the arms straight overhead to try to touch the ground in front of you. Do the best you can. Continuing to pull the lower belly in. Inhale to come up halfway, release the grip from behind. Grab both edges of the feet, coming back into that forward fold once again. Parsvákonasana D. This is the fourth variation. The second variation in here is where you keep the hands on the hips, but for sake of this flow, we're just going to do 1, 3, and 4. Inhale with a straight spine, keep your hands to the waist, come up halfway, exhale. Inhale to come all the way up, come back to standing at the front of your mat. Now we're going to do our Vinyasa. Inhale, arms straight overhead. Exhale, forward fold. Keep your knees bent if you need to. Inhale, flat back, look ahead. Exhale, you can walk, step, or float back into a high plank and then into your low plank chaturanga, 4-limbed pose. Inhale into up dog, bringing the chest forward, not crunching the neck and the back, but just giving a slight bend. Exhale, lift the hips and come into down dog. Adho Mukha Svanasana. Bring the feet together here. We're going to work into a little bit of a flow. Inhale, right leg up. Right leg swings through. Come nice and high onto the back toes. Bring the chest off the thigh. Come onto the fingertips for Ashta Chandrasana. To make it a little bit more intense, extend the arms so they're in line with the ankles. Do this for about 3 to 5 breaths. Once you're ready, come into half moon pose, crescent lunge, Ashta Chandrasana. Stay here for about 3 to 5 breaths. Give a slight back bend here. Keep breathing. It might be a little intense. Heart rate starts to pick up. Come back down with hands on either side of that front foot. Take your Vinyasa. Chaturanga low plank. Inhale into up dog. Slight bend in the neck. Exhale, lift the hips up and back. Inhale, exhale. Bring the feet together. Left leg reaches up towards the sky this time. Left leg sweeps through, coming nice and high onto the right toes. Come up onto the fingertips, chest off that front thigh. Extend the arms so they're in line with the ankles. Ashta Chandrasana, equestrian pose. After about 3 to 5 breaths, come straight up, straight from the ground. Keep powering through that back leg. Try to keep it straight. Slight back bend here for a variation. You can stay straight overhead, or you can add the back bend, whichever you prefer. Coming back down on either side of that left foot. Take your vinyasa. Chaturanga. Up dog. And down dog. You can do this entire flow again if you wish, or if you want to get your heart rate down to a more comfortable pace, go ahead and take your child's pose.